All right, when you guys start glazing, you're going to see the glaze colors up here. This is our example board of what they look like after they're fired, and they're all labeled. It's important to look here first when you're looking for your color, because if I look at my glaze jar and it says ginger root, you can see the color of the glaze right there. It looks like a really, really dark gray. When it's fired, it actually looks like this color right here. So you can see it looks different after it's fired, so trust this board, not what you guys see on the jars. So you're gonna pick out a color. Let's say you want petal pink, and then you're gonna come over to the glazes over here. You may need to move these storage carts out of the way, and then you're gonna be looking for the glazes. Now I have a wide variety of glazes, a ton of different colors, so you may need some help finding them. So I know where it is, so I would grab the petal pink and I would start, or I could grab my second color now if I'm ready for that. You guys are gonna be doing 2 colors on each section. So when you get your glaze bottle, you're gonna come back to your desk. Okay, if you have a tall jar, make sure the lid's on it really tight and shake it up. If you guys have one of the shorter containers, the speedball glazes, these are more of a toothpaste consistency, and you can actually use your paintbrush to stir that up, making sure that it's nice and consistent. The paintbrushes are going to be on the clean tool cart, and you'll wash the paintbrush every time you change your glazes. So it has to be stirred up, and you're going to be painting directly from the jar. So I want you guys to have at least 2 colors in here, because we already know, if I look at the board, I know what obsidian looks like when it's fired, but I don't know what obsidian and then 2 coats of aqua on top of it look like. So the point of this is to experiment with the glazes, practice with the glazes, so you guys understand how to use them. Now I already have aqua on this paintbrush, so I'm gonna change my order. I want you guys to draw a square in your notebook or on a spare piece of paper. You're gonna draw what layers you guys are adding for your glazes. So I already have aqua on my brush, so I'll probably do 2 aqua and then 1 obsidian. So I just changed the arrow on there, that's fine. And then I drew little pictures. These are little circles, so I remember where the colors are going on each of the squares, because when it's fired, it's gonna look very different. So what I'm gonna do is take my glaze, and I'm just going to use the tip of my paintbrush to go around my edges. Don't worry if it's not filling all of the cracks and crevices right now. And then let's say I go outside the lines. I'm going to show you guys how to clean that up. So I'm going to use the tip of my paintbrush, making sure to apply plenty of glaze. And you can see it's already starting to dry up a little bit because the clay is porous, and so it's going to absorb that glaze. So when I get to the point where I have those little holes that I want to fill, I put a little dab of glaze on it, and then I just take the tip of my paintbrush and I fill all of those. Anything that the glaze is not touching is going to stay matte or not shiny, and it's going to stay white. So I want to make sure. Now we don't mix glazes. What we do is once it's dry, we can put another layer on top. We don't want to contaminate the jars of glazes. And then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to do the side as well. Right now, this is my first coat or a layer. You have to have 3 coats of glaze on your piece, otherwise it won't show up shiny. So I want to make sure I have 3 coats on here. So this is 1. If you ask me how many coats you've put on, I won't know, because when it's dry, 1 coat looks like 2 coats, look like 3 coats. So keep track of your own stuff here. Now this is going to take a few minutes to dry because I applied it a little thicker, so then I would choose my colors for over here. I can wash my paintbrush and get new colors. So I have to wait for this one to completely dry. And then where I have this space right here, I would just take a wet sponge or a clean wet paintbrush, wipe it over the top and wipe it off, because glaze is basically ground up glass mixed with water, and so when I mix it with water, it's going to come off. Once you have 2 glazes on each of those, 3 coats total. So again, you might have 2 of one color, 1 of the other. It doesn't matter which order, as long as you have 3 coats total. You have your sides painted, and if you got glaze on the back, take a sponge and wipe it off. And then once you finish all those coats of glazes, it can go back onto the drying rack because it's ready to be fired.